The wise woman's words echoed in her mind, growing stronger each day. But how could she ask Abasi, her brother and protector, to do such a thing? Kambili struggled with the dilemma, feeling trapped between her desire for a child and the horror of what it would take to achieve it. As time passed, her desperation grew, and she knew she had to make a decision soon, even though it would change her life forever. After many heartbreaks, Kambili had nearly lost hope of finding happiness. Then she met Doku, a wealthy man from the city. Doku, seeking a wife who could give him many children, was drawn to Kambili's beauty and grace, unaware of her struggles. Kambili was flattered by Doku's attention, but fear gnawed at her. She knew he wanted children and she couldn't give him that. Yet, the prospect of marrying a rich man from the city and being admired was too tempting to resist. When Doku proposed, Kambili said yes, hoping that maybe this time would be different. But as the wedding day approached, her fear grew. As the wedding day drew closer, Kambili's fear turned into panic. She knew that once they were married, it wouldn't be long before Doku realized the truth. She couldn't bear the thought of being sent away again, of being humiliated in front of the entire village. The wise woman's words haunted her more than ever, and she began to believe that there was only one way to avoid disaster. Kambili made a terrible decision. She decided that on the night of her wedding, before leaving the village with Doku for the city, she would have to sleep with Abasi. It was the only way to break the lock on her womb, the only way to ensure that she could give Doku the children he so desperately wanted. The thought of doing such a thing filled Kambili with shame and dread, but she felt trapped. "I don't want to do this," she whispered to herself over and over again. "But I have no choice. I must have a child, or I will lose everything." On the day of the wedding, the village of Edede was filled with joy. It was the biggest celebration they had seen in years. People from all around came to witness the union of Kambili and Doku. The music played, the dancers danced, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers. But Kambili could barely enjoy the festivities. Her mind was consumed with fear and guilt. She knew that as soon as the celebrations were over, she would have to go through with her plan. She would have to find a way to be alone with Abasi, to convince him to do the unthinkable. As the sun began to set and the wedding day came to an end, Kambili made an excuse to leave the celebration early. She told everyone that she had forgotten something important at Abasi's house and needed to go back quickly. No one suspected anything, and they let her go without question. Kambili's heart pounded in her chest as she made her way to Abasi's house. She knew what she was about to do would change everything, but she felt like she had no other choice. She was caught between her fear of losing Doku and the horror of what she was about to ask her brother to do. The night was dark as Kambili approached Abasi's house, her heart heavy with fear and shame. She knew she had no other choice. She had to go through with her plan. Her hands shook as she opened the door, and inside, Abasi was surprised to see her. "What are you doing here, Kambili?" Abasi asked, smiling. "Shouldn't you be with Doku?" Kambili forced a smile and replied, "I just wanted to say goodbye before I leave with Doku." Abasi, unaware of the turmoil in Kambili's heart, nodded and welcomed her in. They sat together, talking about the old days, but Kambili could barely focus. Her mind was racing, and the guilt was eating away at her. She knew she had to act soon, but every moment she hesitated made her feel sicker inside. Finally, Kambili could bear it no longer. She stood up and walked over to Abasi, her hands trembling. "Abasi," she whispered, "I need your help." In a way that I can't explain. Abasi looked at her, confused. What do you mean, Kambili? What's wrong? With tears in her eyes, Kambili began to tell him about the wise woman's words. She explained how their parents had locked her womb to protect her, and how the only way to unlock it was to be with someone who shared her blood. Abasi, she pleaded, I know this is wrong, but I'm desperate. If I don't do this, I will never have a child and I will lose everything. Please, I need you to help me. Abasi's face turned pale as he realized what Kambili was asking. He shook his head, backing away from her. Kambili, no, this is wrong. You're my sister. I can't do this. I won't do this. But Kambili was desperate. She reached out to him, trying to convince him, tears streaming down her face. Please, Abasi, you're the only one who can help me. I don't want to do this, but I have no other choice. Please, don't leave me like this. Abasi was horrified. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Kambili, stop. I can't. This is wrong. And you know it. I love you, but not like this. Please don't make me do this. Just then, the door to the room opened and Abasi's wife walked in. She froze in shock, seeing Kambili clinging to her husband, her dress disheveled and her face full of desperation. What is going on here? She cried, her voice trembling with anger and confusion. Abasi quickly pulled away from Kambili, trying to explain. It's not what it looks like. Kambili, she needs help, but not like this. But Abasi's wife was already running out of the house, shouting for the villagers. Come quickly. Something terrible is happening. Come and see. Within moments, the entire village was awake, gathering outside Abasi's house. The air was filled with whispers and shocked gasps as people tried to understand what was going on. The village elders arrived, demanding to know the truth. Kambili, realizing that there was no way to hide what had happened, fell to her knees and began to weep. I'm sorry, she cried. I'm so sorry. I didn't want this, but I didn't know what else to do. Through her tears, Kambili confessed everything. She told them about the wise woman's words, about how her parents had locked her womb to protect her, and about the terrible advice that led her to believe that only by being with her brother could she break the curse. She admitted that she had lied to Doku, pretending she could give him children, even though she knew the truth. The villagers listened in stunned silence, their faces filled with pity, anger, and sorrow. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Some of them whispered to each other, how could this happen? Poor Kambili, driven to such desperation. The elders, after hearing Kambili's confession, turned to Doku, who stood among the crowd, his face pale and his eyes wide with shock. They asked him what he wanted to do, now that he knew the truth. Doku was silent for a long time, his heart heavy with betrayal and disappointment. He had loved Kambili, or at least the person he thought she was. Now, everything was ruined. He didn't know if he could ever forgive her, but he also couldn't ignore the deep sadness in her eyes. After what felt like an eternity, Doku finally spoke, his voice low and filled with pain.